Hey guys, SMD here, and this is the item builds for Venge. So for your starting items, in general, you're going to want either a Tango and a Wraith Band, as safe lane Venge is pretty hard to contest as you are a carry with a stun, and your Vengeance aura can also boost up your team's damage, so it will be kind of unlikely that the enemies will try to tri-lane you, because your team's tri-lane will probably be stronger. So you can get away with items like a Tango and a Wraith Band, which is a little more greedy. And in general, especially in low MMR pubs, I would assume you wouldn't get punished for ever doing that build. So that's what I would recommend for those low MMR pubs. And for higher MMR pubs, you can still get away with it like I was just sort of mentioning. But if you're not really feeling that build, or you don't like really the Tango Wraith Band, which doesn't give you too much regen, another build that you can do is a Mango, 2 branches, a Tango, and a Salve, so that'll give you plenty of regen, and you can rush your wand from the side shop, and you'll have it after bounty and gold if you get one, and if you don't get one, you'll have it after a CS. So the wand will give you HP regen, you'll have a Salve on top of your Tangos too, so it'll just give you a lot of extra regen by doing that build if you choose to go for that one. So those are the 2 main item builds I would recommend, but I also have seen something where you'll go like Tango and wand versus a hero like Bat, as you don't need too much regen or anything on the hero since you're a strong laner, so you can just get away with buying a wand straight up. But in general, I wouldn't really recommend doing that. I'd rather you just rush a wand so you can have that extra salve on top of it in case you need it. And then for early game items, you can get a wand like I mentioned if you're rushing it, and if you're not, you can fly it out anyways, because you should always have a wand on this hero since you'll be fighting and taking towers a lot early, and wand's just a really good item this patch. You can also get brown boots and a Ring of Basilius into Aquila, or if you already have the Wraith Band, if you started with it, you can just buy your Basilius to finish off your Aquila or whatever. You can fly out a Sage's Mask and buy the Ring of Protection from the side shop. You can also buy some Clarities and leave them in your backpack in case you're running out of mana, since your spells do cost quite a bit, or at least your Q and alt do. Also, you can potentially get a Raindrop, but in general, I haven't seen this item too much on Venge. It used to be pretty common to skip Aquila and go Raindrop into Helm of the Dominator, but with Helm of the Dominator being changed a bit on Venge, people don't seem to favor it too much as they used to. And the reason for that was sort of you want mana regen item anyways, and you want like an item that sort of helps you fight, like Ring of Aquila. But since in general you're picking Venge with like an SFR TA, they would already have the Ring of Aquila, so you could get away with just going for a Raindrop back then. But lately, people seem to go the Ring of Aquila, even if they have a greedier mid, they'd just prefer to have the Ring of Aquila rather than the Raindrop. Early game core items are basically going to be Wand, Treads, and a Ring of Aquila. And then after that, your main core items are going to be Mask of Madness, Shadow Blade, Manta, BKB, Hurricane Pike. So I actually do see phased quite a bit, but keep in mind that they will not benefit from your aura, as they are plus damage, not stat damage. But your mana pool is also pretty low, so with items like Wand, Ring of Aquila, and Treads, it does help a lot with your mana issues. And by tread switching and using your abilities, your mana problems will be a little less harsh than if you're going for the phase boots. But your hero is kind of slow, but with Agi giving you move speed as well, eventually with your stat growth and your talent and items that you buy, your move speed won't be too big of an issue, so phase boots aren't that needed in my opinion, and I haven't been seeing too many people buying the phase boots that often on Venge lately. But it did used to be kind of common, so I don't think it's too bad. Mask of Madness is really good since it'll give you sustain in the jungle, or while pushing. You can also activate it for a lot of attack speed. Also when going for solo kills, it'll give you a lot of damage to help you take down targets. Lothars, once again, will give you a lot of attack speed and help you for getting solo kills. Manta can be really nice, as you can send the illusions around as they'll have your aura, so you can potentially just be farming lane and then have an illusion following someone else on your team, giving them extra damage as well. You can use it to push out lanes, get yourself out of silences and things like that. And BKB is really strong on Venge as well, since you will be playing really aggressive a lot of times, potentially swapping yourself into the enemies to get an enemy out of position, and then which will thus basically put your own hero out of position as well. So BKB can potentially help you survive situations like that. You can go BKB before Manta if you want as well, if it's a really good BKB game and you think you really need it to be able to take fights or to push high ground. And Hurricane Pike is just another really strong item on agility heroes. It just gives you a lot. It is quite a bit of money, but it does give you a lot. So it's a really strong item to buy on Vengeful Spirit as well, giving you attack range to help you siege, the ability to force yourself out after swapping yourself in, the ability to obviously force your team away as well, or to cast on an enemy, giving you the attack range and getting yourself farther away from them. To summarize your core items, basically, you're going to want a Treads, a Mask of Madness, a Shadow Blade. You can potentially go BKB after that if it's a really good BKB game. If you don't think you need a BKB this early though, you can go for Manta Style, and then back for the BKB, and then you can go for items like Hurricane Pike. So for late game items, after you've gotten basically all those items I mentioned, which should take you quite late into the game anyways, some other good items you can buy after that would be Maelstrom into Mjolnir if you need to be able to have more wave clear and deal with illusions, or if you have a really tanky hero just going in the front, it boosts up your attack speed a lot and you can put that buff onto them. Butterfly can be really strong into the late game on Vengeful Spirit as well, boosting up a lot of your damage. You can also upgrade your Shadow Blade into a Silver Edge. Obviously this is better against heroes with passives, but if you are running low on slots and would still like to keep your Shadow Blade, upgrading to Silver Edge just for the lower cooldown and stats can also be pretty nice. MKB can be good against heroes with a lot of evasion. Nullifier can be good if you need a purge, also giving you some damage as well, but once again it's raw damage, so your aura won't boost up the damage of it. And then Scotty again can give you a lot of damage while providing you a slow and just lots of stats. So for situational items, we have Sange and Yasha, which can be a decent alternative to Manta, as it will give you more move speed as well. SNY has been becoming quite common as an alternative to Manta again, as the move speed from it is just so high, and with agility heroes getting move speed from their agility and SNY giving percentage-based move speed, it just makes you insanely fast and it just gives you good stats all around. So SNY can be a pretty decent alternative to Manta if you want it, but I already sort of mentioned why Manta is sort of better, but situationally SNY could be good as well. Linken's can be another decent situational item on Vengeful Spirit, as it can be good for blocking abilities, especially single target ones like Doom with his Doom, Bane with his Fiend's Grip. I'll talk about some items that used to be pretty common on Venge, and why I don't think they're so good now, currently on Venge, and that would be drums. Used to be somewhat common, but right now I just sort of think it's too slow, as you're going to want that Mask of Madness anyways, and the Lothars as fast as possible so you can go look for some solo kills and just have extra damage on your tower pushes. And drums is such a common item this patch anyways that I assume someone else on your team will probably have one anyways. And yeah, getting 2 drums isn't too bad of a thing to have on a team or anything, but since you don't really want it anyways, there's no point to just be buying extra ones when you can get items like Mask of Madness and Lothars on Venge. Helm of the Dominator is another item that used to be pretty common on Venge, and I honestly don't think that would be too bad. That does sound like a decent alternative to Mask of Madness in my opinion right now, but just don't see it too much, and I'm not too sure why, but there's probably a reason that most people are going for the Mask of Madness. It does beat up your tower pushing a decent amount anyways, probably as much as a Helm of the Dominator with a Stolen Siege or something would anyways. It's probably similar for tower pushing, but also gives you more solo kill potential with the Mask of Madness, so that's probably why they're not really favoring the Helm of the Dominator, as your solo kill potential will go down quite a bit. Medallion and Solar Crest used to be somewhat common on Vengeful Spirit, even in the safe lane position, especially on the supports though. I'd still say they were pretty viable, but in the safe lane position I haven't really been seeing it too much anymore, as it's just sort of another item similar to drums that other people on your team are probably going to be buying these items, and it's basically the same effect if they cast it on you as if you have bought it yourself, so there's not too much of a reason to be going for those items in my opinion. And then another item that used to be pretty common on Venge that I don't see too much anymore, and that I don't personally think is too good anymore, would be the Diffusal Blade, as it doesn't purge anymore, and the slow isn't too useful on Venge in my opinion, since you already do have a disable of your own. But the stats are obviously quite high, and the mana burn can be decent in some scenarios, but in general, I wouldn't really buy a Diffusal Blade on Venge for the mana burn. If you're like really need mana burn on Venge, you just sort of picked Venge in the wrong game then. But I wouldn't really recommend Diffuse. I'd rather just have a Nullifier, even though it is more expensive obviously. But yeah, I don't think Diffusal is too good on Venge anymore either. And then here's some items that are somewhat common that I have never really been popular amongst good players, and one of those would be Desolator. It's never really been common on high level Venge play, especially in the safe lane. Yeah, Desolator just isn't too good. I already talked about the anti-synergy with your passive in Desolator, and it doesn't get the damage being amplified, and you already have a lot of minus armor anyways, so there's no real reason to buy more when you can just buy stat items that give you move speed and more solo kill potential and more elusivity. Daedalus is another item that isn't too good on Venge. Once again, it's raw damage, so your passive won't really buff it up. and you'd just rather have stat items and things like that, so you can abuse your swap ability more and be able to get out of swapping yourself into a potentially bad position, or you can potentially save another ally like a TA or an SF by swapping them to safety and having stats to just run away. But by having a Daedalus, you won't really be able to do that, and yeah, you don't really want to buy more damage on Venge, since in general you're not going to be your team's only source of damage into the late game. Ags is kind of weird. I've kind of seen some people do it and kind of seen some success with it, so I wasn't too sure if I should put it in the items that used to be popular that aren't now, or the situational, or put it here with the items that I would never really recommend. But I'll just say it here at the end anyways, because I wasn't too sure where to put it. And it can be alright, but in general it's just such a weird item on this hero. Yeah, it does give decent stats like the other items I was talking about, but it doesn't really give anything other than stats. Like Scotty has the potential to slow enemies, SNY has the move speed that it gives, Manta has the active ability that it gives, and this is just sort of stats and then like a really weird ability that like creates this illusion, but it's not that useful. Like if you're dead and you're your team's carry, like your team's probably lost the fight already, right? If you're going to die first, so the illusion won't really change anything. Sure, it's nice and it can use your abilities and stuff, but in general, it's just not that good. So for item timings, you want to have your Wand, Aquila, and Treads around from 6 to 9 minutes, and then your Mask of Madness from around 9 to 14 minutes, your Shadow Blade from around 14 to 19 minutes, your Manta from around 21 to 26 minutes, and then after that, it'll be pretty situational on what you're going. You're normally going to probably want a BKB after that, but if you're going your BKB before that, obviously your Manta timing will be delayed quite a bit, and then your Hurricane Pike timing will obviously be pretty random depending on how the game's going and things like that. So to summarize the build, you can start with a Tango and a Wraith Band, or a Tango, a Salve, and 2 branches and a Mango, so you can rush a Wand. After that, you're going to want a Wand, Power Treads, and an Aquila. And then you can go for Mask of Madness, Lothars, BKB if needed. If not, you can go for Manta and then back for the BKB, and then Hurricane Pike. In general, Venge benefits more from stats than raw damage, as the raw damage items like Daedalus and Fire and Rapier won't really work too well with your passive, and you just lack tankiness, mobility, and the ability to escape, especially with your swap ability being used offensively. So items like Hurricane Pike can be really nice to get you out of that, or move speed items like the Manta style, and just defensive items in general like the BKB work really well with your ultimate. So that was the item builds for Venge. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below.